San Diego Comic-Con is just right around the corner. We're only days away. And while it appears DC Comics are going big, they're going all in, baby. They're going to call it DC All In, as well as the Absolute Universe and all that kind of stuff. And it appears DC are taking the San Diego Comic-Con 2024 very, very seriously. They're going to have this enormous booth that's going to be like multi-tiered. And they've got all these panels out there. We just even had a new one announced with Josh Williamson and Scott Snyder. And it appears that they're going to be announcing lots of huge stuff. And I've actually been told this behind the scenes that for the most part, like Disney and Marvel don't think San Diego Comic-Con is like a big deal anymore. So while Marvel Studios are returning to Hall H and all that stuff, Marvel just aren't really doing much. They really don't have much to talk about anyway. They actually had a couple of announcements this week. One of them was so absolutely lame that the only news outlet that even covered the new Iron Man writer was Bleeding Cool. We didn't get a Newsarama article. We didn't even get an Adventures in Poor Taste article on the new Iron Man writer. That's how unmoving the needle that shit was. Literally did not make a blip enough for them to cover that stuff. And Adventures in Poor Taste literally cover everything. They will do an interview with anybody. And they didn't even notice that there's a new Iron Man series writer and artist that were even announced. Something else was announced pertaining to the Ultimate Universe. And I'm going to surprise you people with this. But first, let's talk about San Diego Comic-Con. SDCC 2024 is just over a week away, and Marvel Comics has revealed its panel schedule with panels each day. Fans can also get more Marvel at booth 2329 on the exhibition floor. Comics readers can also check out the Marvel Unlimited app with a special sign-up gift for anyone who subscribes on the show floor. And these are the 4 panels that Marvel Comics will be at during San Diego Comic-Con. Marvel Fanfare with C.B. Cebulski and Kevin Feige. Marvel Comics, The Next Big Thing. Marvel Comics, X-Men from the Ashes, and Women of Marvel. Literally the exact same panels that they've been doing for like 10 years. Nothing new, nothing interesting. In X-Men from the Ashes. They've already announced 12 books. They won't be able to announce a new one. They've already announced all the books through to the end of the year. Are they going to announce maybe the first X-Men event under Tom Brevoort in the From the Ashes era? Maybe. Is that going to get anyone excited? Absolutely not. Does anyone care about the Women of Marvel? No one reads the anthology. No one listens to the frickin' podcast. It's probably got a YouTube channel that no one pays attention to. And that'll be complete crickets with 18 land whales with blue hair watching it. And no one will even notice that thing. The next big thing, it'll just be a couple of writers announced, obviously, on mediocre books because they haven't even leaked that stuff. So while Marvel are going to be having a presence at San Diego Comic-Con 2024, the first time in quite some time, obviously the big Hall H stuff, Marvel Comics presence will be extremely, extremely limited with less panels than you would actually normally expect from Marvel Comics because, I don't know, nothing cool is going on. They've got nothing to sell. Maybe things are just going so awesome at Marvel Comics, there's nothing even to talk about. I can't believe they're not doing an Ultimate Universe lineup here or a panel with Jonathan Hickman, and Pichimoko and stuff. The Ultimate Universe is actually pretty hot. I think Ultimate X-Men sucks, but the sales are still decent. I think Ultimate suck, but Ultimate Spider-Man is the hottest book in the industry, even hotter than Transformers at this point. They couldn't get a freaking Ultimate Universe panel together. Likely to announce a couple of projects that are new at the next big thing panel, but other than that, nothing. I wouldn't expect anything. DC Comics are absolutely going to own San Diego Comic-Con 2024, which I think is a good thing because DC are struggling mightily. We do have a couple of things that came out over the last, 72, 96 hours, something like that I will mention here that are probably not going to move the needle, but are of note, I guess, or newsworthy. That's the word I want to use. With the maker returning in 16 months, things are heating up in the Ultimate Universe. As seen in Marvel's October solicits, Ultimate Hawkeye targets Captain America. Hawkeye no more, not for long. A new challenger approaches when an unknown civilian picks up discarded bow and arrow and refuses to let the Ultimates reclaim the stolen Stark tech. Captain America tries to settle the dispute, leading to an action-packed brawl of arrows versus shields. Meanwhile, the Ultimate Hellfire Club is up to something. This is my question. Before we get into the stuff that I think doesn't look bad, why is there an Ultimate Hellfire Club in the Ultimates book? Why isn't the Hellfire Club in the Ultimate X-Men book? Oh, because the Ultimate X-Men book isn't an X-Men book. It's a witchy teens in Japan book, like witchy teen girls in Japan book. I don't get it. The Ultimate Hellfire Club. That's what I got to say to that one. Just don't think of anything new. But Ultimate Hawkeye. And I guess maybe I'm supposed to be like going up against this. And it is going to be written by Dennis Camp, so I won't read it. But the design itself looks pretty badass. I'm not gonna deny it. If they made an Ultimate Hawkeye like variant cover for National Native American History Month or whatever it is, I think that thing would sell because it's a really good design. Like, it looks really cool. I'm not the world's biggest Hawkeye fan, but I do like Clint Barton. I do not like, although Kate Bishop on Disney Plus was certainly bearable, and I kind of liked her, but Haley Steinfeld does have an undeniable likability to her. She just seems like a nice person. But a new Hawkeye in the Ultimate Universe, I think I'm on board. If it wasn't in the Ultimates written by Dennis Camp, I think I would actually kind of be excited for this. I've always really liked Native American characters. Even when I was younger, I kind of grew up on cowboys and Indians and Westerns and all that stuff. By and large, do not paint Native Americans in the most positive light. But I always thought like the Native American characters, whether it be in the Super Friends, I love the Apache Chief, or in any other type of movie and stuff, I always thought they were awesome. It's just like there's a lore to it. There's a cool factor to it. And back in the day, Marvel used to allow Native American characters to be really, really awesome. When we're talking about like Scalp Hunter and stuff, of course, you can't call him Scalp Hunter anymore. You got to call him John Greycrow or whatever. So I'm all like on board for Native American Hawkeye. I think it looks good, and it kind of makes sense for the character. And I would be all for it if it wasn't Dennis Camp. There's a really cool action figure out there. It's from the McFarlane Toys line, where they did like a Native American version of Robin. That just looks absolutely money. I cannot believe I didn't buy it for my son. What was I thinking? He loves Robin. That's his favorite hero. And I didn't get him the Native American Robin. I need to fix that this year for Christmas. Let's put it that way. So I'm personally like, with my tendencies of what I don't and don't like when it comes to characters and the way that they're designed, I'm personally inclined to like this. But because it's written by Dennis Camp, I imagine the character is going to be really sad about the res, because that's all you can allow Native American characters to do at Marvel Comics, and that's all you can really, and that's really all their stories can be about. I don't know, for the last 15 years, right? They're not allowed to be cool anymore or have any personality or, have any charisma or anything like that. They just kind of got to be sad and downtrodden. Be like, yeah, life on the res sucked. And then I'm not denying that it probably didn't or whatever. But back in the day, they allowed Native American characters to be cool. And if I was writing Ultimate Hawkeye, I would make that cool. I would make that character badass. And that would be a lot of fun because it's a great design, and I would be very, very inspired. Not expecting that from Dennis Camp, but did I surprise you? I think that looks like $1 million. I would definitely love to see that character. I hope the character ruined by Dennis Camp and lives on for someone else to do something cool with it, and then I can actually enjoy it. The other big piece of news out there, Spencer Ackerman and Julius Ota are launching a new Iron Man comic book series from Marvel in October. Spencer Ackerman is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and writer who focuses primarily on national security. He has written widely for The New Republic, Wired, The Daily Beast, and The Guardian as a national security editor. Last year, Ackerman co-wrote his first comic book, Waller vs. Wildstorm, for DC Comics Black Label, which was delayed a year. Julius Ota is a Brazilian comic book artist best known for working with Dynamite on titles such as Betty Page, Sacred Six, and Sherlock, who recently drew Wolverine, Carnage, and Alien for Marvel comic books. I'm sure you were wondering, who the hell is Spencer Ackerman? For some reason, I thought it was that Scott Ackerman guy from Comedy Bang Bang, because that would have made more sense. I can imagine that guy liking comic books. Why are we going to like C-SPAN and finding talent at fucking Marvel and DC Comics? I don't get it. I wonder if Tony Stark will go back to his weapons wielding ways, or if somebody will start selling arms to terrorists and Tony Stark will stop them. Like, it's going to be the most boring overwritten, overly done trope in Iron Man history redone again. They needed a new writer on Iron Man. They definitely did. Because Jerry Duggan was an enormous whiff. Before that, Chris Cantwell was an enormous whiff. Before that, Dan Slott was an enormous whiff. Who was before that? Was it Mark Waid? Like, Iron Man's been in a bad shape for a long time, really starting with the Brian Michael Bendis stuff. Actually, you got to go back to Matt Fraction is really when Iron Man started going down. And it just sucks because Tony Stark Iron Man is a cool character. Not my favorite character, but he's like the best known, well-known Marvel hero out there besides Spider-Man at this point, and probably Wolverine. I'll give Wolverine that title as well. But but as far as people knowing he's like number 3. And they never capitalized on it to the point where the only writer they could get for the book is Spencer Ackerman, a freaking national security editor for The Guardian and Daily Beast in Wired magazine. Like, you can't make this stuff up. Like, how did you waste the awesome performance and the charisma and everything going on with Iron Man in the MCU and Robert Downey Jr. to the point where nobody with any ounce of talent actually wants the book? They literally just went out there and grabbed Joe fucking Random from the streets and said, yeah, you're a writer. Write a comic book. You did Waller versus Wildstorm. Everybody was talking about that book. Said nobody in the history of the worlds. You just got to laugh about this stuff, or otherwise you'll cry and get really depressed and realize just how badly things have gotten. But I don't want to do that. I just okay, Spencer Ackerman on an Iron Man book. I guess I won't be reading it after issue 1, I suppose. Julius Oda is the artist. Coming from Dynamite is a bad sign. Dynamite does not care about their interior art. Go see Thundercats. Although every once in a while there are well-illustrated books, go see Space Ghost. But for the most part, they're known for their pinup covers and sexy ladies and all that kind of stuff, which I have no problem with. Hey, sexy ladies are sexy, and that's cool with me, and they like to do the cosplay covers and stuff. But their interiors are almost always a disappointment, with the exception, especially right now, of Space Ghost. And another one out there? The Tarzan series from Dean Jurgens looked really, really good. But a lot of times their interiors don't look good. I read Helverine. I didn't think it was well illustrated. It didn't stand out as awesome. I've been avoiding Carnage like the plague, and I read some of the Alien stuff. But I think by the time Julius Oda got on it, it probably wasn't. I wasn't reading it anymore. I only read that Alien Annual recently from, God, what's that numbnut's name? Just the biggest fucking douchebag out there. Just as far as writers, Declan Shalvey, the worst written comic book in the history of the world. I don't know if Julius Oda illustrated that one, but I was furious at the end of that comic book, and that does not make me think that Julius Oda knocked that one out of the park. If he was on it, which I do not remember if he was, and I don't care enough to go look. So there's nothing promising about that. Spencer Ackerman, Julius Oda, Iron Man, they've basically given up. That is the white flag going back and forth with Marvel going, I guess we'll never ever capitalize on Robert Downey Jr. making Iron Man one of the coolest characters and best known heroes in the landscape of the entire world. We'll never do anything to actually do anything with it. And you're basically past scraping the bottom of the barrel, because you already did that with Jerry Duggan. You certainly already did that with Chris Cantwell. And you've gone past the bottom of the barrel to where you're into not comic book writers on the book. But the good news is Ultimate Hawkeye looks pretty badass and would be a really cool action figure. And if it was anybody but Dennis Camp writing the book, I would probably check it out just because I like the design. And I really like Native American heroes. It's just, it sucks so bad that they're only allowed to be one thing nowadays at Marvel Comics. And that is really sad about the res. Prove me wrong, Dennis Camp. That's what I'm going to say. Prove me wrong. I don't think you can. Prove me wrong, Will Moss. I know you're in charge of the Avengers books. Show me that I'm wrong, because I think I'm right on that one 100%, and I won't be missing anything until somebody with a good mind for the character shows up and hopefully undoes all that stuff. And they basically won't have much of a presence at all at San Diego Comic-Con, just a few panels. It's going to be the DC Comics show, which I think is great because I'm more of a DC fan anyway. If you'd like more coverage of San Diego Comic-Con, we will be hitting it hard and heavy, not only here on YouTube, but certainly on Patreon. If you haven't checked out Thinking Critical Patreon and saw all the awesome podcasts that we have with your favorite guests on there, there's a link in the video description. I hope you check it out today.